Dad burned all his jeans after I gifted him these.
And you heard him. Everything looked good on the roll by. Y'all have a good day. And there goes the truck that you just heard the report on the scanner from, that everything looked good on the roll by. And before that train got here, we asked them if there was something exciting going on, and they said they were dropping someone off to work on a car. So, as you saw, our northbound here on the Atlanta North District train stopped right in front of Rail Moments and all of you, where our Norfolk Southern person got on, and you saw he went through the nose on up with the crew, and then they rolled on. Double horn blast, off we go. Hello everybody, welcome to Rail Moments, and thanks for being with Casey and I here at the next crossing. Hello, ain't right. How are you today, Billy? Still got that snow on the ground, don't you? Hey, Todd, you must have got the notification because you are not late today. Well, everybody, we're trackside. Give me just a moment, and I'm going to catch up with y'all. Hey guys. everybody. Todd, good to see ya. Hello, Billy. Hey, Crash, how's the birthday boy to plus 1 day? Hello, Confederate wife, Mama Bear. How are you? Everybody, good to see ya. And yes, we are on the Norfolk Southern Line, and we are at what is known as Control Point Long. So, as y'all just read, if you're reading the chat, and for those of you that watch this in the future, we are on the Norfolk Southern Line. We are kind of out in the middle of nowhere, which is a great thing because it's super peaceful. And since we had a little time today, the sun came out, the rain stopped, we thought, what the heck? Let's take a couple hours off from job one. So we put in for a little PTO so we can come out and hang out with y'all. And we're going to try and make this a 3-stop trip, but I have a very sincere feeling it's going to end up being a 2-stop trip because it's already 3:30 and our rail traffic is pretty slow. This morning was great. As soon as we got here, that was it. So we thought we'd just go a couple places today, this afternoon. A, see what we can catch, and B, just talk about them a little bit. So Crash, you've been here many, many times, so feel free to jump in and add anything that you want. And for those of you in the future that watch this, if you're coming to Chattanooga, this is a great spot. Now, after dark, once the sun goes down, there is no lights. I mean, there is not light number one except the crossing gates and the signal towers here. If you want to chase something particular based upon the time of the day, because you're literally cut through the trees here, you may have a little problem with lighting. Because, as you can see, as soon as it drops down, it's only, 3:30? Yeah, 3:23 currently Eastern Standard Time. And as you can already see, we have shadows on our last train all the way across the track already. And yes, granted, we are on winter time. But you do have, if you come here for particular pictures and sun is an issue for what you want, it is a consideration that you must take into point for this spot. As far as parking, pick you a spot, bring your friends, you can even invite the neighborhood. There's plenty of parking. Is this a cool spot? Absolutely. Hello, kid. How you doing, Colt? And why is this a cool spot? Control Point Long, A, has a siding, and we'll scan the area here before we move to the next place. We're going to probably go back with the new red caboose that Crash told you about up in the exciting town of Cohutta. Now, and speaking of Cohutta, at this location, cell service, depending what company you use, is very, very limited here. There is not enough, and we have a great provider. And 3 times, 4 times, probably 5 times better than our last one that we were using last year, as of a month ago last year. Once we made the switch, it was a major difference. But even with them out here, it's a question mark on what you guys are going to see at your end. And yes, it takes a lot to drive the live, both in gigs for data amount and quality of signal. And for many, and it took me a while to get this, it's not the signal coming in for us, it's the signal strength going out. So many times you can have it in, but you don't have nearly as well going out. So that's what we always have to take into consideration when we're doing something with you guys, is the strength and speed of the signal going out. And I keep looking to the left because we have all the likes there. So, and the other cool thing about this point, and like I said, Crash, anything you want to add, jump in, because I know you've spent lots of time here. Control point long is used a lot of times to change crews. So you get to watch, and usually the PTI car normally parks over on that side and goes right down there. Sometimes they park down here in front of production unit 6, where you saw the tally group was parked, and where you saw the big high railer that was here earlier. Tally group is, yes, road paving, you're right, and they're paving Appleton Pike out this way. So to get here, speaking of roadways, now that the bypass after years is done, you just get off at exit 9 or exit 11 off of 75. You come on out Appleton Pike like you're going to go to the Red Clay State Park, and you follow east 317, Route 317, Appleton Pike, till you come to Howardsville Road. Like I said, this place is not on the global maps. You're just out here. So when you get to Howardsville Road, if you're on Appleton Pike and you're going east, you turn right, and about half a mile you end up here. Alabama Highway is just up on the other side. So back to why here and some of the cool points. If you decide to come this way, it's a great location because A, you have the crew changes here. Frequently, particularly for MOW equipment, they use this siding to work out of. So if they're working in this area, they'll come here in the evening, go out in the morning, so you get to see all the stuff coming and going. If a train has a problem with the car, this is often a set-off spot. Matter of fact, earlier they were talking about 2 cars with Hot Wheels. Not sure where it was, never did. I picked it up. I started in the middle of the conversation on the way out here, so I didn't find out, or not sure where, but it's not unusual. And a matter of fact, the video we shot here, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, and you'll see the difference because we were on the MiFi, which has 3 times the antenna capabilities of a typical cell phone, and it was a little rough. And we got to watch the train stopped here and everything, and they brought the crew out. But like I said, you'll clearly see the difference. So you have MOW set off cars, because this is double track at this point. And when we show you the signals and we look around a little bit, we go from double to single, and the switches are controlled out of Atlanta. You have the butane burners here. Keep those switches warm during the winter when there's ice. Have a derailleur here on the siding. Track 1 is the middle track when we do the spin. Track 2 is on that side, which ends just past this signal tower that you'll see. You have gates, lights, nice crossing. Like I said, plenty of parking. Santa's with us today. And his pet reindeer that he's raising. Let's see what else about Long. So, tied down trains, crew changes, and kind of like Bootleggers Crossing, they don't have the historical value here for the Prohibition activities, but this is a great train meetup spot. It is not unusual to have a train over on track 2, have one going past, or a train over on track 2 waiting for something to come in. So a lot of times you get to see a 2-train meetup here. In contrast, over at Bootleggers, it's not uncommon to have a 3-train meetup. One coming down the Knoxville West End, one coming up the Atlanta North, and one waiting there at the cliff, or I should say at the path in the case of Bootleggers, and waiting to go down the Atlanta North. So many times you'll see the Atlanta North get released, you see the Knoxville West End get released, and then you'll see the 3rd train. So this is a good 2-train meetup spot. Bootleggers, a great 3-train meetup spot, and not an unusual thing. So, Control Point Long, Appleton, Tennessee. We're not far from a friend of mine by the name of Bill, who lives out this way. Super, like I said, super quiet. As you can hear, other than me, there is no noise. Deer and wildlife and turkeys, not uncommon at this location. Lots and lots of wildlife. So, with that, let's go ahead and kind of spin a 180, give you a little bit of an idea of this location. So if you've not been here before, and then we'll take a check and see if there's anything that's kind of in the vicinity coming our way. And if not, we'll go ahead and head on up by the red caboose. We got to see a train go through. And that's kind of the goal today. Catch a train, see the location, talk about it a little bit, answer any questions you may have. Something we're going to try and do this month because we should have a little bit of extra time that we can go to some of the different places. We're talking about next weekend going back up the C&O and TP to Harriman and Rockwood area, and then jump over on Saturday to the Lantern Express in Knoxville with the old steam locomotive there next to the CSX yard. And this week, would like to take y'all back over to the joint line over in Alabama and spend a little time there on the Tennessee River in Bridgeport. And Bridgeport has 3 really, really great spots, one of which is up on a cliff. And when I tell you a cliff, it's one of those kind of cliffs where you see the high divers go from. And you have just a beautiful shot of the river, the walkway, and the train activity. And then we'll go back down to our spot where they come across the bridge, and we'll go up by the local yard there that's also in Bridgeport by the beautiful 2-story depot that they've got over in Bridgeport, which is just another great, great place to rail fan. Another cool thing with this location, if you've got southbound activity, you can hear a train way ahead of time here, so you can be set up. And if you've got northbound activity, you've got the signals, so you have plenty of indication. It's just super hard to get caught flat-footed here, but if technology is involved, you never know. So that's kind of all I can tell you about Control Point Long. Like I said, we're here on East 317 Appleton Pike. And now that Appleton Pike is done, the bypass, it's super easy to get from 75 to here with very little traffic, past the Ottawa Airport and right on down to here. So let's kind of take a little spin around, see what we have. We'll talk about the lights and the control point. And since it is a little peaceful, just for fun, we're going to pretend we're a car, try not to get run over, and go up at the crossing. If y'all would like to do that, try not to get run over by the U-Haul that's coming. Well, the U-Haul is going to back in. Somebody moving in or moving out. Hello, Santa. "22 days to Christmas." All right. Get your seatbelt on. We'll take a little field trip. And take a look around at Control Point Long. So, come on, y'all. Here we go. All right, let me get y'all leveled up. And like I said, basically, we're standing here on the road at Control Point Long. And there is a look northbound. If you were riding the train and you passed through this point, you'd go on up to Appleton, Collegedale, and then you'd come to Ottawa. And once you hit Ottawa, you would be at Bootlegger's Crossing, where we were earlier this week. There are a whole series of crossings just north of us. So again, lots of horn activity. And right up there, you can see the next crossing gates. Oh, just a couple blocks up. That's Alabama Highway. And you can see the signal tower for the southbound traffic. More light over that way if you have something particular you want to catch. Parking, though, is very, very, very limited at Alabama Highway, but there is enough that you can squeeze a spot. So our train crews coming north from Atlanta. This is basically what they see at this crossing. And L809 is the local down in Dalton. The scanner we have on is actually, we're listening to the bird cam scanner. So you can hear a little bit of everything going on in the area. We just kind of leave it on all the time. Great place if you want to leave messages for us. But you can see there is the siding coming closest to us. And then the center track of those three is track 1. And that is your straight through shot. To your right is track 2. Right there's your track 2. So if you follow it, right up by the natural gas canister, and the signal tower there. There is a Atlanta controlled switch that moves you from 2 to 1. Or if you're coming south, it can take you off of 1 and put you on 2. Here's your signals for track 1. So as you can see, if you're out here, you can tell without any question if something's coming. On the other side, there are your signals for track 2. So again, great vantage point. If you're over here in the parking lot, you can see them with no problem. They're right here by the crossing. If you're on Howardsville Road, that's the way to Appleton Pike and to Red Clay State Park. If you've not been out to Red Clay, very, very historic, back to when all this area was with the different Indian tribes. Very rich in history. So if you want to add a little bit of history to your trip, when you plan on coming here, look up Red Clay State Park here in Appleton. Next, the area when they do crew changes, you'll see PTI pull up over there on that side. And there's a wide path or a wide area in between the bungalow and the tracks for PTI to go down and turn. And here, there's a woodpecker. And this road comes up on an angle and then goes across the track. So it's a little bit of a distortion from where you're standing. going across at this point. But anyhow, couple cool and interesting things. As you can see in the middle, track 1. To your left, track 2, and then, as you can see, the wavy up and down siding track. And in that video that we were at here 3-4 weeks ago, they had 3 cars they had set off for wheel issues. So you have a long straightaway, and as you can see, even though it's kind of mid-afternoon, or it's not evening by any means yet, you can see that you have a lot of shadowing here from the trees. And if you've not seen the video about how a rail line gets a haircut, check out in the library for production videos, Saw in the Sky, SAW, in the sky, and you'll see, if you notice when you look down there, look how straight across the trees are along this track on both sides. And that's because the helicopter came through here and literally made each side exactly smooth and even, so there's a clear view. And that's where you'll see the deer and the wild turkey all the time down there, or right behind us. And as always, no railroad crossings complete without a bunch of old ties. We'll have to send Andy here to count them all. But there's not nearly here what there was over at the other location. And speaking of deer, there's one now. There he goes, or there she goes, across the track. Let's see if they were with the rest of the family down there. Well, like I said, seeing deer here is not unusual at all. And again, a very well cleared path, great visibility to tell if something's headed your way. And looking across here at this crossing. As you can see, it comes up on an angle. There's some white steaks for you at night, because like I said, there is absolutely no lights out here. This crossing is just plain dark at night. And if you don't mind night and dark, the signals just glow here because it's so dark. So if you like that sunset picture as darkness is starting to fall and you want to catch a really artistic shot, or if you do night photography, this is a great place because the lights really, really accent your shots. As you can see, here it is, the middle of the afternoon on a Wednesday. You're standing pretty much on the road. You actually are standing on the road at the crossing here. If you were driving across, this would be exactly what you would see. You look northbound. And back to your look. Going south. From here, Cohutta would be next. Varnell. And if you listen to the scanner much, they talk about Waring. Waring is just south of Varnell and right before Dalton. And just below us here, if you were to go down that way about 3 miles, maybe 4, there's a road called Dry Valley, and it is right before you get to Cohutta. And there's a massive long field with no trees at all along the track. And if you're trying to catch something that you want light on in the afternoon coming going particularly southbound, that is a perfect place. Dry Valley Road. It's the second crossing north, basically, from Cohutta. And there's room to park, no problem. We parked Production 6 there, and Casey's been there, and a couple others. So there's enough room that you can park and be safe off the side of the road. And also that's where the 25.0 defect detector is that Crash mentioned last night when we were live down at the Debunk's Yard at the south end. So, we are going to go ahead and there's the 22 milepost. So the Dry Valley crossing is 3 miles exactly from here, and the defect detector that we just talked about is 3 miles from here at the 25.0. And as you all know, Dalton is there at the 40.5. So you're 18 miles north of Dalton by way of a railroad track. So put your seatbelt on. Since they were talking about clearing a train at Summit, there's a chance, a good probability, we have a southbound headed our way. And since there isn't currently anything in front of him, if that is a southbound clearing out at Summit, it'll be about 20 minutes till we have it here. So let's go on back over to production 6, set back up where we were, and we'll take a look at the cams and then kind of make a decision if we're going to stay for a little bit or move on over. And again, if you were driving, this would be what the look would look like that you would see after you came over the crossing. There's production 6, and as we discussed, we are coming to you by satellite today. So let's go back to our spot. Let's see what's making noise in my pocket. All right. Well, that kind of answered that question. We have a northbound that is 18 miles out. And if our southbound going past Summit is headed this way, there's a chance we could have our 2-train meetup that we talked about that occurs here. And Todd's writing y'all a note. He's doing the whole Google Earth thing. Todd says, if you're not reading the chat, or if you're watching this in the future and you don't have the chat feature on, Todd wrote, found your location on Google Maps and the street view shows a stopped NS train. Like I said, a train holding here is a very, very, very common thing because a northbounder, once they go past this point, that northbounder has single track all the way up to where they arrive at the Spooky Water Tower and Bootleggers Crossing. So it's not unusual, since this is such a busy line, not at all unusual to have a train sitting here, like Todd mentioned, in the street view. Hello, Jonathan Rash 2. How are you? Good to see you. We're just kind of taking an afternoon to kind of watch and just visit a couple places and talk about them, because many people, by the hundreds, as you all see, watched our lives after the fact. So that's why we always give the date. So when someone watches this 3 months from now or 3 years from now, they won't go running to the corner thinking it's today. So since we know we have a northbound, just so y'all can see the lights and kind of get the feel for this location, so we're just kind of location exploring, if you will, for lack of another way to put it. And if that train coming past Summit is going to come this way, we can see the concept that we talked about of the train meetup, or you'll get to see the lights function from this point. For our northbound, that's 18 miles away. So depending on his speed of travel, that's how long do we see. And like I said, we are rolling by satellite today. So you are seeing the broadcast through the heavens and back down to you through YouTube and our satellite dish that rolls with production unit 6. So everybody, that's kind of the plan. We're going to hang out probably till we get one more train, and then we're going to take a trip up for our second stop of the day, which will probably end up being the last one just because of light, at the Old Red Caboose in Cohutta, 4 miles away. Hey, Kit! How are you? Yes, NS out of Atlanta controls the switch here, I have been told. So it is remote. Here on the Norfolk Southern line. And like I said, one of the two scanners we have on, you are picking up some CSX traffic, but there is no CSX traffic here whatsoever. This is all an NS line. So you're going to see the BNSF coal trains that we've seen starting to return. Matter of fact, we've seen quite a few of them in the last here in the last week. And you'll see the UP locomotives through here. Sounds like maybe we have some paving equipment heading our way, because they're working out of this spot. They're repaving Addison Pike, Route 317 out this way. Here on the siding track, there's a derailer. Kind of an up front and close and personal picture. If you're a rail fan, you should always have that number in your phone, because it's called odds, ODDS. And if you spend hours and hours and hours and hours and more hours rail fanning at different crossings, someday, at some point, the odds are in your favor. There's going to be something occur at a crossing that needs to be reported. And you will have it on your phone that you can make the call. And on all crossings, there is a phone number and a crossing number. So, should assistance be needed, an occurrence happen, whatever, you can pinpoint for them exactly what and where. Just like a milepost on the highway, that's a marker point. Or as you know, you're here at the give or take 22.0 milepost, and we should be able to hear the 25.0 defect detector on the scanner here. So that's the NS number, 800-946-4744. All right, since we know we do have a northbound train coming to us, for the moment, unless something more exciting, unique, or whatever happens to come our way, we're just going to watch the signal towers. Track 2 on the right, track 1 on the left, for our train. And like I said, since there is notice ahead of time in both directions for something coming for horn, especially if it's coming south, there are a ton of crossings. You'll hear horn way before he gets here. So sit back, relax, let's see what's coming our way before we move on up to the red caboose. Everybody, if you didn't tell Crash happy birthday yesterday, make sure you do today. He's on with us. Good to see everybody today. Thanks for being with Casey and I. Don't forget, Catch of the Week, Best of the Rails show, every Sunday at 5:30, although every now and then Casey does have to travel. He is in the Mobile area this week. But 5:30 Eastern Standard Time, and it's a cool show, not because it's Casey and ours and mine and we do it, or our show, but it's, let's just say I couldn't get out. Well, yesterday's a good example. I missed the spirit of law enforcement. And people in New York, Texas, all over the place. that send in pictures and videos so you can see stuff that, like the grinding unit that we saw, brand new grinding, an entire unit strapped to the back of train flat cars going to Brazil. We would have never gotten to see that in a lifetime up here. But thanks to Real Fan Lucan, he shot it, sent it in for the show, and we watched it on Sunday night and got to see it all. And some of the different locomotives that are in different areas that don't come up because they're on whatever line. And you get to see them on Sunday nights. So, videos up to 30 seconds, no music. And stills, cell phone. You don't have to have a $5,000 camera to send a picture in. Anything train related, railroad related, station related, send it on in Casey and I go through them, and then we do pick different categories. And now that Casey's got his computer fixed, as soon as he gets a moment, he'll get caught up on the shorts. We pick something from each category. Favorite local, favorite pick, graffiti of the week, and artistic. And then Ray, who's on staff with us, part of Rail Moments. You'll see Ray on every now and then. He's a 25-year photographer. He also picks one on quality of the photography and its overall quality and setting. So I'm going to see what there are for notes here on the chat. And then let's listen for our next inbound train. Don't know if it's south or northbound. Since we did have a train outbound from Chattanooga pass through Summit a little while ago. And then we'll move on down to Cohutta. And again, we are on satellite coming to you. Crash, you got anything you want to add? Hey, Dirk, how are you? Aiden sent me a note today on Facebook. The Freeze Watch, I think is what it was called. A Railfan event on, I think it was January 3rd of 2026 over in Decatur, Alabama with that group. So if you're thinking about something to do on January, and I believe it was January 3rd. I know it's one of the first few days of 2026. There's a Railfan Rail Watch event over that way. They're a great group to hang out with, and that is a fantastic location. We've filmed there a number of times, and we are never, ever disappointed with that junction point. Dirk, what's new with you? I said, Crash, have you got anything to add about this location? Please do. Axe Warren, everybody, if y'all excuse me just 1 second.
Yes. It's not long. Oh, where is it?
371 south, 18E north.
Alright, yeah, I heard CP call of the train cars.
Make it where? Oh, okay.
Alright, so 371 coming south of Ramsey, coming north and traffic. Awesome, great. Bye, sir.
All right, everybody. As we discussed, that's exactly what's going to happen. We are about to have a 2-train meetup right here at control point long. And again, as we talked, that is not unusual. Railfan, and again, this is my educated guess, Railfan up at Ottawa just sent me a note. We have a southbound coming, so we'll listen to the scanner and see what number that is. And we know we have a northbound coming. So chances are super, super good you're about to see a 2-train meetup. So I tell you what, let's kind of reorganize just a tad. So if we do get the meetup, probably our northbound will be on track 2, our southbound coming through on track 1. And that's kind of the norm. That doesn't mean that I'm right, but let's just kind of see. So everybody, it appears we're going to get ready for a 2-train meet right here at Control Point Long in Appleton, Tennessee. And yes, it's already getting colder because my nose is getting chilly. So, Dirk, you're right. I'm fantastic. I'm great. All is awesome. But it is a little cool outside. So, y'all don't go anywhere. We're going to have that 2-train meet. Let's see what we get. If you guys are ready, I am. I'm going to get you, like I said, readjusted just a tag so we got a great view since we're dealing with the railroad ties. So, sit tight while I get you all adjusted. All right, seatbelts on. And for those of you just joining, we are getting set up for what we believe about to happen or going to happen here. I'm not sure about the about part, but I think based upon set up, we have a southbound on approach and we have a northbound on approach. X6, you can hear the southbound's way ahead. So for those of you, like I said, are just joining on or watching this in the future, we are setting up to catch, and again, I'm speculating, but just based upon historical events here, southbound on the Atlanta North District meets northbound. So y'all help me listen for that southbound and listen for our northbound. If you hear a 25.0 no defect report, that means our northbounder is 3 miles south of us. So here we go, everybody. Let's get ready. Not sure our timing on this. Hey, we got somebody coming to visit. Traffic. That's our first car in how long? Ah, beautiful truck. He says, what are they doing? He sure didn't deliver any pizza.
Yes, sir.
we have horn from behind us, and we have train in front of us. And we just heard the call, NS 371, Norfolk Southern 371, coming south. So listen as you hear 371 approach. And I believe this is 18E coming north. So 18E on track 2. So the setup is going to happen just like we discussed. Northbounder on 2. Southbounder coming through on 1. So let's listen for all the action to get started. 2 train beat up. It's a good Wednesday in Apison here at Control Point Long. Good to see y'all. Ag is 371, he just called. So, NS 371 is our southbound train that we hear coming our way that reported earlier through Summit. All right, he's got northbound green, track 2 to track 1. play. DPU! RIP! Raid! There goes Ozzy. $18E past control point long. Everybody, that's how it happens. Just like we talked an hour ago when we arrived here and talked about Control Point Long and why this is a cool spot. 2-train meet, just that quick. So, let's see if I missed any comments. Hang on. Space Ghost. All right, everybody. Control point long, Norfolk Southern, Atlanta North District. Sun going down. It's 5 o'clock. We're going to go on up, set up in Cohutta real quick. Maybe we can catch one more there. So let's go ahead and throw everything in the truck. And I will see you, all of you, you're right, at the next crossing. So if everything goes right, we're going to catch one more up in Cohutta. Hopefully we can get us one more train in tonight next to the caboose that Crash has told you all about before. We've been there once, but had kind of a poor signal, so it's only a few miles. Put your seatbelt on. We're going to roll on up to Cohutta, see if we can beat the sun set tonight. See y'all there at the next crossing.